What's up, everybody? We're back with another reaction video of PsychoMath. You know how YouTube is with certain languages. I just want to, just want to do the PC version of the name. But as you're watching this video, you'll know you know. But I already did a video of his a while ago, based off of bird hands. I really like that video. It's probably one of my favorite videos of his, and very informative because I cannot unsee that when women, at least some women, do the bird hands. And that is just for you guys to know. If you see some women doing that, you better at the very least keep your feelers up. Keep like a very close eye and perked up your ears just to hyper focus on how she carries herself, because you at that point, at the very least, you know she's starting off on a bad foot, and what she does after will state a lot. But you just can't like take a what she says after or during the bird hands with a great grain of salt, because it's like ugh. Anyway, this one is called Baby Talk by PsychoMath. Now, definitely follow his channel and check out his content. He's very informative. I think it is, if you need something more informative with illustration, to recognize, at least be well informed about the dating landscape, and definitely showing the negative side, both men and women, but primarily women, who behave in such a way that, you as a guy who's on his grind, working hard to better yourself, you'll learn to steer clear of certain women that might be a weak link or might cause a destruction of the kingdom that you're trying to build. So, it at least helps you filter out the good girls from the bad ones. Anyway, follow me on my YouTube and Twitch channels as I react to videos, review content, as well as stream video games. So without further ado, let's check out Baby Talk from PsychoMath.
Offended by people's lived experiences, you're the problem. Oh!
You are the modern woman. You are in your car. Life does not feel quite right. Something is missing. You check the mirror to make sure it's not your meticulously applied makeup. It's not. You look fabulous. You are the modern woman, and you have an urge you can't quite put into words. You let the urge run through you. You ask it what it wants. It wants to play peekaboo games, but there is no baby here. You have aborted all of your babies and ghosted all of the men who might have proposed to you because you are the modern woman. You take out your phone. Who is here? Who can I find in the phone to play peekaboo? What do they want to hear? You are the modern woman, so your mind floods with feelings of victimization. Women are victims. Minorities, 93% of the global population, are victims. The phone wants to hear about how much you love victims. And it wants to hear this as if it's the baby you refused to have. You are the modern woman, so you recall a children's song, and you change the words to show that you know how bad white people are, and men, and white men. You sing your victimhood nursery rhyme into your phone.
Or offended by minorities talking about their lived experiences, you're the problem. If you're offended by women saying they're afraid of men, you're the problem. If you're immediately reprimanding instead of listening and understanding, if you're offended by people's lived experiences, you're the problem. Oh!
You clap your hands. You make ugly faces. You roll your eyes. You hit 'em with the double henpeck bird hand special. The old 1-2. You upload the documentation of your hysterical phantom pregnancy meltdown into the glossy black void. And you wait. Someone likes you. Someone loves you. Someone has paid attention to you. You are the modern woman, And this is the happiest that you will ever be. Modern liberal white women are not okay. They have changed into something called the awful. That's affluent white female urban liberal. This insanity is a consequence of the information age. These young women are being bombarded with emotional content, and it's making them lash out at the men they should be supporting. The internet has warped the mind of the awful, and they're supposed to be having babies, but they're not, so they're just treating everything like it's a baby, including men, especially white men, and it's making us hate each other. These women want to appear like they know better than you, but awfuls are actually losing their grip on reality. They don't even know what their feelings are telling them to do. This one is teaching Uncle Mark how to respect pronouns, even though Uncle Mark isn't listening, he's not on TikTok, and this is what she sounds like.
No, they are telling you who they are. You just need to use your listening ears, friend.
Uncle Mark was probably in Vietnam. His listening ears are listening for something else. If women like this and this think they qualify as moral leadership for people like Uncle Mark, that's pretty sad. But the truth is a lot.
That's why, look, there is plenty of very sensible women out there in the world. And I love those women. I like spending time around those women. Not because they agree with everything I say, it's because I can have nuanced conversations with them without them overreacting or talking down to me, being condescending. Yeah, there's a healthy symbiosis. And they understand how to convey themselves ladylike and not like these other type of women who are condescending, and they often, more often than not, tend to be liberal white women who got nothing better to do with their lives, because they always gotta be on some kind of social activism kick, or they gotta, have this kind of like, I don't know if it's a savior complex or what, but it's just like they can't mind their business or like try to make everything their business. Everything is like an overreaction instead of, actually having a nuanced conversation, or at least if something, working them up, they can't just, let it pass, because more often than not, things that might upset a lady might be, a nothing burger, and that feeling will eventually pass. But the less wise lady will run with it, and because they let their feelings be their reality, and they go off the rails. That is one of the important things. You ask me like what men do for me and all this other stuff. Well, aside from the various advances in science and inventions and philosophy and all this other stuff that makes the world run, we provide structure and guidance, and which is something that is complementary to the lady's emotional chaoticness. Because more often than not, we provide like a bit of like a foundation and structure, so they can have some kind of like a men are like the kind of like the walled off box, and a lady can have their little emotional thing, but the walls keep them from kind of spreading out. It's contained, and eventually it kind of settles, I guess, if that makes any kind of sense. The wiser ladies know this, and it's like they appreciate men for this feature that only, well, I won't say only, but the vast majority of men provide this level of structure and guidance to be their rock, because it's fashionable in a way, or at least it's understandable in a way, that ladies, when they get, kind of emotional from time to time, more often than men do, it's the guys who have to rein that in, especially the men that they trust. Is their, like the father, is their job to rein that in be pat them on the head and or give them forehead kisses and hold them so they could like settle down and know that everything's gonna be okay in our big strong hands or arms. These wilding out ladies probably got some grudge against some dude, or the daddies running around, or something horrific that some guy wasn't present or not doing his job, causing at least most of these ladies to feel like they need to take down the patriarchy because a trusted man in their life, or supposedly man in their life, didn't fulfill some particular obligation or duty that he had to make sure that they were okay in their adolescent stage, or the mothers in their life pushed those fathers away and they are being raised by a jaded mom. Who knows? Don't know. But more often than not, they had a chip on their shoulder because the father figure didn't do some kind of job. He wasn't handling his responsibilities. So now, as they grow up, now the general public got to deal with her lashing out.
More sad. This beaver was born in captivity. He has never been in a river, but he's building a dam out of whatever he can find for a river that isn't there. Because beavers build dams, that is what they do. And women nurture children, that is what they do. But they no longer have children, so they are scolding children that aren't there, in front of a camera, for an audience.
Yeah, this lady clearly, needed some. I don't know if she had a father in her life or whatever, but she definitely needs some kind of male guidance to tell her, "Shh, baby, just be quiet. You don't need to talk. Just calm down. Come sit on the couch and watch some TV with me. Just calm down. Just settle down." It needs some kind of fatherly, guidance. Not to coddle her, because I think we got enough coddling going around in society as a whole as it is. We need, to be some kind of sternness to tell some of these people, usually ladies, to like shut the hell up. It has to be that harsh, because saying it in a nice way ain't cutting it. Coddling them ain't cutting it. Be reasonable, showing some illustration and like, analogies, using the hypotheticals. None of it is cutting it, because even if you give them an analogy or a hypothetical, there's like it's like a knee-jerk reaction with most of them, like get into the weeds of it, like, oh, well, I know Brenda who did. You can say like something like this. Generally, women like to take care of their men. Oh no! Well, like, here's a better one. Generally, women like to like the idea of make food from scratch for their family, and they will say something akin to like, "Oh, well, I know Sheila, who's my cousin's best friend, and she does not do X, Y, Z." And they hyper focus on that because he knows an outlier. And then, like, as soon as they see that one outlier, all the general stuff goes completely out the window in their minds. It's like a bizarre way of thinking, because it seems more prevalent in it with the ladies than it is with the guys, because a guy can make a general statement to a group of guys. There will never be some dude in that crowd talking about, "Well, I know so and so who's related to so and so doesn't do that." Never will cross his lips. Even if he's thinking it, it will never cross his lips, because he will have like some understanding, some self-awareness to know that, yeah, that's true. Generally speaking, that is true. But these type of ladies need some because most people who operate on that mindset have healthy females and men growing up in their lives to give them some healthy perspective on life and everything outside of them. Ladies like this don't have any. It doesn't seem like it was raised on any kind of healthy male and female dynamics to understand the world better when they get older without spewing this nonsense.
Scolding children
Liberal
that aren't
nonsense.
there, in front of a camera, for an audience. Sometimes a caged bird will pull out all of its feathers. Captive lions or bears sometimes walk in little circles all day. A bird in a cage has a beak it's not using. It's gotta peck something. A bear in a cage has feet it's not using. It's gotta walk somewhere. And modern women have mother instincts that they're not using. They have to mother something. The beaver made a dam out of SpongeBob because that's the closest thing there was to a stick. The bear walks back and forth because that's the only place there is to walk. And awfuls, affluent white female urban liberals, lecture us like we're babies because we're the only thing in their lives they're allowed to talk down to. Modern women grew up surrounded by images of pathetic men who need to be corrected by the women in their lives, and then they went out into the real world and found that white men were at the bottom of the status hierarchy for some reason. The reason remains a spooky mystery. And just like a beaver is identifying things that you can carry, women are identifying things that deserve. For example, this guy does not need to be spoken to like a special needs child, but some of these guys might, and probably everyone from here down. Baby talk can be activated by low status. Now, there's nothing more low status than a baby. They're totally incompetent, they're helpless. They do nothing but need, and they give very little back. But in the absence of a baby, as is so common with modern women, they will automatically find the most baby-like substitute, often in the form of a worthless little dog, because the weakness and littleness reminds the awful of a baby. That's why it's so important for the media.
See, I remember I put this on my TikTok, where like a clip from Bill Maher's little segment last June around Father's Day, and he brings up about TV sitcoms, both highbrow and lowbrow, even commercials and movies. They for the past handful of years, probably not a handful of years, definitely like a long time, the chunk of it all has been like, given this kind of stereotype where the bumbling, goofy dad needs to be taken care of by the sensible lady of the house. And it's kind of, propaganda in a way that's been like permeating the world, definitely in the US. And now this kind of like leads to a level of disrespect. They kind of, some of these ladies don't understand this is just comedy or just entertainment, but they take it as almost gospel, where, oh, I can't trust guys, at least most of them, if they're like just the working class and not the upper echelon. They gotta be the bumbling idiots that I can't trust, so I gotta make sure I put some money to the side in case he stumbles one time. Oh, I can't count on him, so I better like plan my exit strategy in case he fails one time or stumbles one time, instead of riding it out until and lifting him up so we can work as a team. And it's like that's a dangerous mindset. But back to the whole baby thing, it's like, yeah, they do need to mother something. It's because it's just like us guys, we have a need to kind of provide and protect things. If we don't have that outlet, it has to go somewhere. And more often than not, that something gets very dangerous because we are the stronger ones, and that's why we have laws and police to, kind of, put guardrails to protect, society from dangerous men. But we have that drive that needs to be met. Unfortunately for the young men, they can't put that outlet into anything outside of maybe just the work and build themselves up, because the ladies who are on their level don't want them back. They're looking at the guys who already made it, who went through the grind more often than not, but they don't want those girls back. They use those girls as, toys, let's put it that way. But they won't dare talk to those upper echelon guys any kind of way. It's funny how they immediately know their place for that kind of guy. They won't dare talk with like a CEO or Drake or Chris Brown any kind of way. They won't dare talk to Leo DiCaprio any kind of way. But I'm pretty sure those girls on that party boat with Leo DiCaprio have guys on their level, in their lives, or they might know by association that they talk to very slick out their mouths. Or a guy who dares to try to walk up to them and try to talk with them to see if they can get a date with them, get their number, they scoff, rebuke them, talk to them any kind of way instead of with some, level of respect, because back in the day, no matter what the lady was doing with her life, where she was like a nurse or a teacher or a house mom, or stay-at-home wife, kind of, or no, not stay-at-home, but you know what I mean. She will still, whether she was interested or not, she still has some level of respect for the guy and understand that guys aren't horrible, but it seems like it's like a thing where it's like fashionable to be disrespectful. It's trendy to talk to somebody who's twice your size, often twice the competency, typically faster, any kind of way that, like, have you girls ever gotten, in the bedroom when you having sex with a guy and you might, be a little kinky and you let him choke you? You do a real, like, in that moment, he has that strength. Guys have that lots of times, not just during sexual encounters. We often have to, be mindful of our strength because it can be very dangerous. But you talk to these guys this any kind of way, and you just have this, fundamental thing. They won't dare put their hands on you. Sure, guys should never put their hands on a lady, ever. But you had that protection from the either white knights or the law, that no matter what, there was always going to be somebody to come swoop in to save you from the dangerous men. But it's just like there's lead up to that. It's often like, girls just be just overall mean, just mean, and lots of guys have to take that. But it's funny how that switches even with their own bosses. Ladies who work don't talk so crazy to their boss. Their boss could easily tell those ladies who work for him that I need you to dress appropriately. She will do it. There's no backsass. I need you to come up, like, I need you to work at this particular time or work overtime. She will do it. There's no backsass. But just on a normal man and female dynamic, there's always this, just abrasiveness. There's unladylike, to be honest. Sorry.
To convince the awful that you are worthless and little. This is emotional programming. A woman.
Men just like females thrive off of compliments, guys thrive off of respect. And only the upper echelon kind of guys are the only ones that seem to just garner that. That's why guys is probably the best, that you just build yourself up to be that position. Because it seems like, you just a humble mechanic, who runs his own shop, or even like maybe the team lead or manager of the shop, ain't cutting no more. You gotta dang near own your own company, or being some kind of entrepreneur that's making ridiculous amount of money to even get a girl to behave or smile at you, be courteous. Because it's weird. It's a weird shift in the culture right now. there used to be some kind of like a social contract. Both men and women are pretty much holding up a couch, but over time, at some point, the ladies are not lifting up their end, but getting mad at you as soon as you say you want to put your end down to rest a bit, or calling them out for not holding up their end of the couch. They call you things like insecure, like, oh, so you want me to hold up my end of the couch? Why are you being so insecure? You pretty much like pointing out a fact to them or holding them accountable for something. You dropped your end of the couch. Can you lift it up? Oh my God. Smacking your lips, rolling your eyes, giving you all this attitude. Calling you these buzzwords like insecure or incel. It's weird.
Woman knows by instinct how to treat someone who is above her in status and someone who is beneath her. The baby instinct goes down towards people or dogs that are powerless, helpless, or misguided, and she treats them like children who deserve equal snacks. And thanks to the media, the awful believes that no one is more misguided than white men, and no one is more deserving than everyone else. This is why they constantly vote for equality. They see you not as a man, but as the bad baby stealing snacks from the good baby, so they vote to steal snacks from you to hand out to all the victims who deserve, just like this guy. This is where our dating problems become more political and psychological, and that's why I'm expanding more into psychology. There's only so much you can accomplish by lifting weights and buying a nice shirt. You can't make the world function that way. You can only increase your position in the market, and that makes you basically the last man to drown on a sinking ship. If you want to help me keep the ship afloat, you have to understand how your thoughts and your actions actually create your culture and your society, and how they also create you. And women like this are also having their minds created by their culture and their society, which you are also a part of. That's why I made this chart. Do you see the 4 colors? They are the same as the 4 colors here, and I'm going to use this to show you how you and awfuls are co-creating our culture of disrespect. Here's a quick summary. Modern women are going nuts because they're in denial that they are women, and ironically, this makes them act even more like women. And this all comes from the denial of nature. People at these levels sometimes think that they don't have a lower self, that they can be something other than what they are. But it's not true. Birds are gonna peck and beavers are gonna build. We used to know that men and women were different. Most people with kids will tell you that little boys will make a weapon out of anything, and little girls will make a baby out of anything. Men and women even process visual information differently. We all know how men will open the fridge and not see the thing he's looking for, even though it's right there. That's because we look for where the thing is supposed to be, whereas women scan the entire area. So, men and women are wired differently.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot where I got this from, but it's always stuck with me that, why do you think ladies are so good at let's say feng shuiing a place or decorating? Because they have the necessary brain structure, chemistry, and the eyes necessary to know the differences of color. That's why to a guy, pink is just pink, but to a girl, oh, that's pink and that's salmon and etc. The different shades. It goes all the way back to the hunter-gatherer era, where it's the ladies who picked out what was the berries that was poisonous and what was not, so that way we can avoid poisoning ourselves, especially they're young. So it goes that far back, so that way guys, we don't, we see like the like a different brain chemistry, which things that was supposed to be, and ladies, you kind of scan the area. That's why women tend to be more social creatures, and get into career fields that deals more with people rather than with things, because guys like things, metaphorically speaking. We don't necessarily care about people all that much. It's just like it goes that far. It goes that deep, and we just that's like the root of it all, and we kind of expanded it out with other things, but it all centers back to that root.
which makes us good at different things, and there are people who are offended by that because they don't want to feel limited by the way they were born, so they just pretend they weren't. That's why childless women apply baby urges to things that are not babies, but then they'll tell you that it's not about babies, even though they're doing baby talk to the most baby-like thing they can find.
Yeah. That's why, like, growing up, I always thought it was so weird to see certain female celebrities dress up their little dogs into these little suits and all these different costumes. It's always so weird when I see ladies do that with their little pets. It's like it's a dog, not a person. What are you doing? Or even worse still, I've seen ladies put their little dogs in strollers, and it's like, do you put them in bassinets too? It's that motherly instinct that's still permeating in their psychosis and DNA. They have to do that. It's just like an innate thing. Just like, people that I'm not even related to, people I just know maybe by association or even just basic female friends. If something pops off, my instinct is just to make sure they get out there alive, or at least make sure they're protected, make sure like things rumbling or things seems to be like, sketchy. I'm quick to, like, if I'm around a female friend or two or a female relative, I'm quick to like, okay, we better go, kind of thing. Or I'm like, my arms just almost instinct, just boom, shield. I'm blocking any potential. I'm a wall. It's just like, it's a drive. It's just like, half the time us guys are not doing it on on purpose. It's almost like a subconscious innate thing. Our feet just move in the pathway of possible destruction. That is our drive. That is a thing that we cannot help. Especially if it comes to our kids. Oh, best believe, we will sacrifice ourselves. We just have that. Just like flip effect, I imagine if girls admit to themselves, you have that probably that level of drive, but for nurturing. But if you don't have like a husband and a child, that drive has to go somewhere. You can't keep it in. It needs to go somewhere. And you put it in places that it probably doesn't belong, and it's kind of screwing up, like, the general public.
They are in denial of their nature because they don't want to admit they have one. They don't like the idea that what you are on the outside determines who you are on the inside.
Reality doesn't give a crap about how you feel. Biology doesn't give a crap how you feel. Reality and biology is just is. It's like, a guy can not feel like going out there and busting his butt at whatever job he's doing, but reality doesn't give a crap how he feels. Biology doesn't give a crap how he feels. If he doesn't do what, God and science and nature set forth for him, then he will possibly die without heirs. His bloodline will stop with him. And that is probably like the most feared thing among all men. At least most men. There's quite a few men out there that, don't want children. Or well, I think there's a lot more guys nowadays that probably don't want to be bothered with marriage. But you catch my drift. That we understand life doesn't care about our feelings. Some women cannot understand that concept, that life does not care about your feelings or what you think should be. It is what it is. It's just like the circle of life. It is what it is, harsh as it might be.
Inside. They don't want to be trapped by the way they were born, and they really don't want to be trapped by your expectations. They don't want to be told the one true way they have to be. So even though this is a problem of unconsciousness, it's happening because they're trying to move higher and they can't get what they need. That's called self-authoring. It's a term by Robert Keegan. Listen again.
We use the names that people tell us.
That means I say who I am, not you. That's self-authoring. And that means I don't want to be told who I am anymore. I don't want to be forced to conform. I want it to be all up to me. She's just using pronoun people as an excuse. The problem is, when she says, I am who I say I am,
They are telling you who they are. You just need to use your listening ears, friend.
she's not using her listening ears when we say who we are. This is also how you can tell who the bad guy is. She is making demands of you, but your demands are...
Just say you use your ears. You you say listening ear. Maybe she just like, I don't want to say she misspoke, but you know what I mean. But it seems like it's kind of like using a double negative in a way, you know, or a double positive. But it's just like listening ears is a redundant sentence.
are not her problem. She also looks like a beluga whale, and ugly people tend to be evil. So even though she doesn't know it, what she's saying here is, everybody has the right to choose their own identity and to be included, except for you, because you are a socially acceptable punching bag. This is a typical moral failure that shows up at about the 6th level of consciousness. I call it false enlightenment, and it sounds like this. All the different ways of thinking from all the people in all the world are all equally valid. And if you don't agree with that way of thinking, you're the devil. You can be any way you want to be as long as it's just this specific way and none of these. So level 6 wants to understand everyone and include everyone and be included, but then you can't include anybody who wants to have things their own way. And that's most of the world. Recently, a white American girl tried to do this to the entire Muslim world. Listen to this.
If you are a Muslim who is transphobic and homophobic, not only are you contributing to the mass killing of LGBTQ people, you are also contributing to the Muslim genocide by giving ammunition to Zionists and other Islamophobes.
Imagine lecturing these people about trans rights. And imagine thinking there's a Muslim genocide when the population is shooting straight up. But for the awful, facts do not matter. All that matters is these are her puppies and they need love. They're minor. They're minorities. I mean, if you look only at white countries, they're minorities. The poor babies. It doesn't make any sense, but that's why we don't look to TikTok car girls for moral guidance. Here's how the chart is going so far. I made it chronological, so it'll start in your mind and go to your actions, which go into the world, which then act on awfuls, and then they will have their own thoughts, and they will have their own actions that go into the world and affect you, and it'll go back and forth. There are only 2 ways I know of to interrupt the baby talk problem. One of them is to just be someone she doesn't want to talk to like that, like a boss or an expert or someone.
Just in case you know, there's people out there that's like, well, what's the solution? You always give it a problem. What's the solution? Pay attention.
She's attracted to. This is, of course, difficult to do in today's society. Most of us won't be able to get much respect. So the other way is to make her play by her own rules. Just sink down to her level and baby talk her right back. So if she says this,
If you're immediately reprimanding instead of listening and understanding, if you're offended by people's lived experiences, you're the problem.
you can go ahead and say something like, but if you don't listen to my lived experience without reprimanding, then that makes you the problem, doesn't it, sweetie? This is a drawing from an old video where the guy is basically saying he feels this, 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 and this, and then the girl sees only one of those 4 things and then misrepresents it twice. She changes the color and the shape and says, why are you always everything red square? And the guy goes, that's not what I said. I don't agree that that's what I said. An example would be something like
I dealt with like a decent amount of women, like, you know, not every woman, but there's like a decent amount of women, especially an ex of mine. It's just like a nasty habit. It drove me nuts. I couldn't articulate it. He put it very succinctly, and I kind of wish I had this kind of knowledge back then. I could have moved a whole lot differently. But it's just like I give like a good paragraph of a situation or a topic or whatever the context was, and only thing, or I can say like a grievance I have, and she like, you know, only like, oh, so you're saying this? It's like, that's not what I said. Why are you taking something, you warping it into something that I did not say? It's weird. I always thought that was so weird. But of course, I was naive at the time. It was my first girlfriend. It was years ago. And I always thought that was so weird behavior. But then I learned recently about, like, you know, some ladies tend to be chameleons. She's, you know, the first girlfriend, it seems like such a sensible woman. But then when she got comfortable, then she kind of switched up. It was kind of bizarre. And it's like you have this conversation, but then you I can say all this exact stuff. Blue circle, yellow triangle, purple square, and yellow star. But she takes one of those things that happen to be very close to something that she had a grievance with, and then her brain just kind of twisted up to be, evil red square instead. And it's like how many guys out there heard, had this conversation with a girl. I was like, this is my grievance. I can't give a good example off the top of my head, but it's like, this is my grievance as a guy, that what you're doing is kind of like, irking me a bit. Then she can turn around and say something akin to like, so you say you don't love me anymore? And it's like not even remotely what you said. And almost every guy can attest to this kind of conversation. It's almost the exact same kind of dialogue, and I don't understand why some women do that. It's a warped brain some of you girls have. It's like, why are you like twisting it that way? It's weird. It's like, what part of that in my set? I remember saying that. It's like, what part of that did I just say that indicated any kind of way through my mouth that says I don't love you? If I did not say the words I don't love you, then you shouldn't be thinking I don't love you, because clearly that's not what I said. You are assuming based on your feelings because I'm agitated or I have a grievance about something that you did, but because I'm upset, you take it in your lady brain to meaning, he's upset, that means all love is shut off. That is the mind that it should be freaking studied. Oh, wow. And it's because guys tend to be more direct and simple. Ladies, you so complex, even you don't even understand each other. It's so complex.
I'm worried about the economy, I see problems in education, immigration is a big issue, and technology is too unrestricted. And then she says, why are you so racist? And it's like, well, that's not what I said. You left out most of it, and you distorted the rest of it to fit your cranky feelings. So you're really not including my lived experience, are you? So all you're really saying is everyone matters but me, because I'm a white guy and I'm bad for no reason, and you're uncomfortable with my lived experience. So how are you not the problem? Here, I did a quick pencil drawing. She should be able to repeat back to you what you think, and if she can't, then by her own words, she's the problem. Awfuls hate it when you do that, because then they can no longer pretend to be morally superior. So if she wants to be in kindergarten, just make sure she knows she's not the teacher. Here's a quick story about a time that I did both of these at once, and then I'll give you the chart. It's all done. Awfuls were my entire dating pool until I got famous on social media when I was 38. Between 2002 and 2023, I only met one woman who wanted to go out with me and was not insane, and she didn't want to see me again because I didn't make enough money. Every job I applied to for 20 years needed more diversity, so I met an awful at an event and we went to go get midnight tacos, so she was interested in spending time with me, meaning that she liked or respected me, and we were eating in the car, and she said that men should be more open to dating trans women. So I said, what do you think that would be like for me? That's me saying, have you considered my lived experience? And she froze and she said, I never thought about it that way. I don't know what other way there is to think about it. You just said men should date transsexuals and I'm a man, so you think I should do that, right? And she basically said, no, I would never get in the car with someone who took my advice that I just gave. What she meant was, these men should be open to doing that. Not the ones I like. They should be getting tacos with me at midnight, but these men should be open to dating each other. This is how you win with awfuls. When they say men have too many girlfriends, they mean these men. And when they say men should date transsexuals, they mean these men. But they don't say that part out loud. They think you should know how they feel. So you have to abandon logic. Don't try to go from here to here. Use her own feelings against her. That's how they decide what reality is. What I did here was I made two of her feelings fight. She had one feeling that transsexuals are like babies or puppies and they deserve, and she had another feeling that I was worth getting tacos with. So I said, how do you think I feel when you tell me to date a transsexual? How do you think that makes me feel about you? And she had another feeling. Oops, I just made a guy I like feel bad about me. Oh no, I would never want to live in the world I just recommended. So if you can make her feel good about you, she might listen to you. Women take leadership from men who give them feelings. Or you can make her feel bad about herself. She's not including your lived experience because she sees you as less than human from all the brainwashing. And if she still says your lived experience doesn't matter, well then, neither does hers. So you can be in kindergarten, but you can't be the teacher. So you can win with awfuls by being desired or respected, or you can beat them at their own game. Be the biggest deserver in town. Be the table.
We use the names that people tell us, remember?
Oh, sorry, sweetie, but I'm just not somebody who sees a girl there. That's the way I was born. And we don't make people have opinions, do we? How would you like it if I said, here's your new boyfriend? Well, then you don't tell me this one's mine, got it, got it? We keep those thoughts to ourselves. Talking down to awfuls works dramatically better than logic, which has absolutely no effect. The awful does not know what it is, and they never will. Awfuls are uneducated, overgrown children, and if you try to explain things to them, they're not going to get it or care, and they will just mark you as low status and exclude you from everything they possibly can. So here's the flowchart. It shows the interaction between two parties and the world they live in. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you can download it on my Linktree and just follow the arrows. Basically, you are a regular guy, society gets weird, and about 48% of white women go completely insane and start hating themselves and their families in order to fit into a world that wants them dead anyway. They start using female violence to become enforcers of the status quo, which means mainly gossip,
in case you want to do it, please pause at any point to get a clear picture of all the stuff going on the chart. Matter of fact, let me there you go. Got the arrow right there. Okay, just for you guys here. So we got like regular guide, normal guide, all the stuff, the world, awfuls. Just so you guys can, if you want, you can pause and study this to your heart's content, because his illustrations are super helpful, especially to a guy like me who likes, illustrations.
in the world they live in. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you can download it on my Linktree and just follow the arrows. Basically, you are a regular guy, society gets weird, and about 48% of white women go completely insane and start hating themselves and their families in order to fit into a world that wants them dead anyway. They start using female violence to become enforcers of the status quo, which means mainly gossip, insults, lying, and cancel culture, which means ganging up to exclude anyone who doesn't cooperate. And this ruins society. You are then pressured to conform, and you have several choices. I added 4 of them to the chart. You can either be a coward and say what they tell you, which gets you access to a few low-quality, promiscuous women on SSRIs for mood disorders, or you can try to act all morally superior and waste your time using logic on people who will never know what it is or why it matters, which gets you nothing and makes you a target. Or you can be somebody who is desired or respected, and then some awfuls will change their opinions to match yours. They will never know why they did it. They didn't know where their opinions came from in the first place. Or, and this is the most effective choice for most of us most of the time, you can just play their game better than them. Make them look bad. Show how they're excluding your feelings. Be the biggest baby in the room and show them how much you deserve. They can't be victims if they are victimizing you. This is the drama triangle. I'll go over it more another time. Basically, this is the dragon, the princess, and the knight in shining armor. This is Batman, the Joker, and Gotham City. Awfuls are always either playing victim so that they can deserve from you, or playing hero so they can help other victims deserve from you. You need to put them in the role of bad guy by saying, look how you hurt me. I took you out for tacos and you told me to marry this thing. Don't waste your time talking about the definition of a woman. They don't care about logic, only feelings. When you tell me this is my new girlfriend, that hurts my feelings. You are reprimanding instead of listening and understanding my lived experience. Basically, you have to talk to them like they are dumb babies, because they are. It also helps if you can get non-awful women on your side. Women just...
Yeah, I mean, there are some ladies out there who just hate it when... And I'm about to say, when you compare them to cars, but it's just an analogy, but they so hyper-focused on, women are not cars. It's it's an analogy. I don't know why you acting so brain-dead and not understanding that simple fact. But they also don't like the idea of being treated like children, even though they kind of infantilize themselves a lot, especially when they do baby talk. Or I'm sorry, daddy. Especially when they want something. they turn up that little baby talk, the squeaky voice, that they infantilize themselves. They, when they get all like frisky and sexual with you, they tend to, do the whole like pigtails and like, dressing like schoolgirls, things of that nature, like from time to time. Not obviously not all the time, but it's just like they tend to infantilize themselves, which is kind of weird if you think about it. But then they want to turn it around on you when you point out the fact that you're acting like a child. When you throw your little tantrums and you point that out and try to sit them down, they get upset. Which, then again, if you stern enough and you man enough, they tend to conform in a weird way. They low-key kind of like that, but they don't like to verbally admit it. That when you put some bass in your voice and tell them to sit down and shut the hell up, or you don't have to put it like in those words exactly, but the emotion is the same. Like you tell them, like, sit back, be quiet, I got this. That's the nicer way of telling them to sit down, shut the fuck up. Because more often than not, the guy got it. She's overreacting most of the time. She's like throwing tantrums that over stuff that doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. And she deep down want that, because deep down women know they can overreact. They are ruled by their emotions. And sometimes they need a stern guy, more often than not, usually the guy that they really are attracted to, who are, typically in a relationship with, to man up and tell them like to shut up sometimes, put them in their place. It's kind of like that episode of Family Guy when Cleveland Brown let his ex walk all over him and cheat on him, and Lois had to step in and tell him, like, sometimes a woman needs a man to be a man. That's what women need to start verbalizing more. They know how they act sometimes. They're not dumb. Women are not dumb. They know deep down how they act sometimes. They know they want a man to be stern and put them in a place from time to time. Not all the time, and not acting like a monster towards them, obviously, but they know they need to be checked every once in a while, and deep down they know they get turned on by that stuff. Most of the time they don't verbalize that because that doesn't make them look very ladylike, because they all about their appearance. They need to have this appearance of perfect little angels, but deep down they have some naughtiness and know what they need from men. Truly, in their spirit, they know what they need from men, but they don't like it because they get deemed like as pick-me's, or like you're catering to the male base or whatever. But they know deep down what they like. They know what they need from men, and they should allow men to behave like men, not like monsters and not like idiots, but just like sensible men, like we always have been for the most part. But it wasn't until like a few decades, that's to be technical, but it really peaked in the past 10 years when things got really out of whack. Guys need to like stop simping, grow some stones, and tell them, no, we're not catering to your dumb ideals or whatever feelings you're running with on a day-to-day basis. It's like, sit down, shut up sometimes. As harsh as that might sound, deep down, if you admit it, deep down, you know you can be out of sorts, and you need to hear that. Typically from the guy that you're attracted and like, and hopefully in a relationship with. Not just any dude, obviously, but trusted male figures in your lives.
Make better victims. There's never a princess in shining armor saving a prince. So the only way to fix the baby talk problem is to either lead them in a different direction, which is going to be difficult because you're competing with the mass media, universities, and the government, or just use their dumb little games against them. Again, a lot of these women are just trying to grow up, but they're doing it wrong. They're trying to say, I don't need to conform to your expectations, my life is up to me, but then they try to make you conform to theirs, and theirs are not as good. Awfuls have become what they hated. They said, "Don't boss me around," and then they boss you around. They said, "I don't want to be just a baby factory," and then they turned the entire world into babies. And they are fighting for people who are a threat to themselves. These are deeply broken, dangerous mental patients. They are the bad guy. Don't let them make you the bad guy. And remember, logic never works. I once told a friend of mine that men and women don't think in the same way, and she gave me a 10-minute lecture in a baby voice, which was the best possible proof that men and women don't think in the same way, but she did not get it. On the other hand, when I said, "You hurt my feelings by telling me to take this on a date," I took control of the situation. Whether or not they know it, awfuls are manipulating you. Manipulate them right back. Remember to like, share, follow, subscribe.
Yeah, I like hey, Lombo, how you doing? Give you a shout out from, like, I forgot to give you a shout out last time. I did in like a recent video though. But yeah, it's just, society is, so weird, and let's be fair. It's the simp dudes, and well, it's most liberal women or liberal white women that threw everything off kilter, and the simp, beta bitch boys who enabling this instead of sacking up and tell them and be lockstep in with other sensible dudes to understand, like, hey, this is crazy town. We're not catering to that, but they're only doing it because they are looking for a mate, and they thinking as a strategy is not a good strategy, but it's a strategy to say, hey, I will agree and wear my pink pussy hat right along with you, because down with the patriarchy. They can say all that and live a long day, hoping to get like with somebody. And like PsychoMath pointing out, is usually the really disturbed tend to cut themselves, low quality females is like at the low hanging fruit type of women that they can possibly hook up with, but any port in a storm, I guess, and they take it as like, oh, that's the best strategy possible, because like they're starving out there, so any way they can is just like but it's just guys need to operate in unity when we know, because we're the ones that knee-jerk reaction operate on logic, and we know this is crazy town. We know that we need to tell the vast majority of the females that operate in that kind of mindset, to tell them, like, sit down, be quiet. You don't know how the real world works. You operate on your feelings, with half the time does not coincide how reality works. Just go stand with your father or your brothers and something like that, or if you have a boyfriend, just go with him. You don't know nothing, because feminism has ruined the good chunk of the female population, specifically in like Western countries like Canada, UK, America, and possibly Australia. It's just like it's like a warped way of the way we're living right now. Hopefully, it's getting better. I'm a little bit optimistic because we it got like a thing with these Gen Z guys wearing quarter zip. It's like a whole trend. There's wearing very fashionable very like studious, I guess is the word, like upstanding kind of attire, and that's like a trend nowadays for these young dudes, which is very cool. But it also seemed to be drawn towards a very conservative mindset growing up with these new batch of men coming into their own. So that mindset would probably do society very well, but it's still like still probably going to be a little bit of an issue if not more women are speaking out against the crazy ones, to say, and not being afraid to be called like pick-me's or whatever. It's like, no, you're crazy and feminism has ruined you. Okay? You gotta, like, sit down somewhere. Okay? A lot more women need to, like, probably, like, really tell these chicks, calm down. It's usually, back in the day, it used to be the older women, but now you got something like, Kris Jenner, like, trying to make, being a grandma hip and cool, and I still got a body, and all this other stuff. Instead of just acting your age, Halle Berry's the same thing. Like, yeah, you look good, but you're still 60. You gotta act your age now. You're not in your 20s or 30s anymore. You have to act your age. We need to know who are the grandmas out there, who are the aunties, who are the moms and the single hot women. Dress accordingly to your age. So that way, guys can parse between who they want to talk with, or talk to, I should say, this proper sentence. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. I will see you guys in a little bit, because I want to get back to some more. I want to play some Marvel Rivals tonight. So get started on Elsa Bloodstone. So I will see you guys in like 10 or so minutes and play that for at least an hour or so. But anyway, let me know in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. Let me know what you guys think of PsychoMath's critique on the baby talk, and I will see you all later. Peace.